Hello and welcome to the Fully Vaccinated edition of No Prize Podcast. I am the Professor Bud Young, and with me, fresh from the vaccination center, Lucas. How are you, Lucas?
Oosh, vaccinated all day, ladies
Yes,
and gentlemen.
yes. I'm ready for things to get back to normal. Open up the bars, open up the strip clubs, open up the concert halls. I want to go give free hugs to everybody. No socially distancing for me. I am good to go. Bring it all back. Let's get out into the comic shops. Where's Free Comic Book Day? I am ready. I'm
Yeah,
done being
man.
locked in the house for the last 15 months. I'm done. So
Oh, I'm
let's
not,
get
man. But
going.
I'm not, man. Been saving a lot of money, man. So I think I'll.
Open those movie theaters back up. Where's Black Widow?
Well, I mean, we got what other movies we got coming up? We got Eternal. The
Dude,
Eternal. Man, there's been so much stuff, man. That's actually happened last week. The Eternals. They started releasing some of the trailers and some of the looks of how
did
that
you
thing is supposed to look like and all that.
did you see that 3 minute clip of Disney trying to get us back into the theaters? It's like showed us that huge like Marvel thing with you know, Captain America and Avengers Assemble, and then they showed little pieces of Black Widow and Shang-Chi uh, and then the first footage of Eternals, and then the release dates for the rest of the movies going through till 2022. So
Not going to happen. Nope. You spoiled me, Disney. You spoiled me. Look, keep the current business model that you got. Keep putting the stuff on freaking Disney Plus because I'm already spending enough money on that. Charge me
yeah,
$30. Charge me
yeah,
$30. I love that freaking. I can see it at the same time as everybody else. I'm not in that big of a freaking rush to see all that other stuff.
yeah. I
Charge me the
think what
$30. Charge me $50, so I don't have to freaking sit across from um from Dave as he freaking sneezes and freaking gets this snot mucus all over my popcorn and all the other stuff. Yeah.
well, you know what the business model that I've read about recently this week was that they were simultaneous releases on in theaters and on platforms Disney Plus or HBO Max, whatever you have, through the end of 2021. But then once we hit 2022, back to normal, go back to the theaters. That's what I heard. So, I personally think that this business model could work with the simultaneous releases because there are people that are going to go check out the theater anyway. Because I mean, I know me, I'm going to be back in the theater because I love watching the movies on the big screen. Not that I don't have a gigantic widescreen TV downstairs that I could watch and be comfortable, um, but
Yeah, get
that's
a
to me.
projector, guys. Come on, get a projector.
Yeah,
Treat
to me,
yourself. Treat
to me,
yourself.
yeah, no, to me, I want to be out there and um, see the movies with other fans. So especially if you go on a release night or the first weekend of the movies out in theaters. I remember when I saw Endgame in the theaters the opening night and with the crowd going wild and clapping. That's kind of the stuff that I like. It really kind of gets my adrenaline pumping, and that's kind of what I want to get back to. I don't, it's not the same when it's me and my kids jumping up and down, and the
Right.
privacy of our own home. I do that anyway when I watch football, so it's
Hey,
just it's different.
well, what they should have been doing is we've already got VR right now, right? We got these virtual goggles, right? So they should have had it where you put on these virtual goggles and you're in that same movie theater experience, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if you have any, but with the PlayStation VR, and you go into the Netflix app and you put on the goggles, you're in a wholly, totally new, different freaking room, man. You got a freaking couch right there. You got the plants and everything, man.
Hmm.
And that's what it is, man. The only and trust me, the only advantage I see to living in a theater is that you want to get out of your crappy house and you just want to sit somewhere freaking different, right?
Hey, I'm telling you,
You
that's
want to
the
be able
first
to,
thing.
yeah, you want
You're
to be able
fully
to make,
vaccinated. I'm going
yeah,
on vacation.
yeah, yeah, you want to be able to make a mess and leave that mess for other people to clean up. That's it.
Hey,
Same
that
thing,
is true.
same thing for restaurants. Don't forget. it was Mother's Day. I know this is gonna be a little late, but if you've got it was Mother's Day, make sure you get your mom something or take her out to eat. Right, it'll never be too late. Just tell your mothers or your wife that you love her. And and sometimes that's that's the best thing about taking her out to a restaurant is that not only does the person not have to cook, but they don't have to clean up afterwards. Right. And that's the only advantage that I see to actually going out and doing all those stuff. Otherwise,
Hey, you gotta live like I do these life hacks. Like I'll take my mom out to eat the day before Mother's Day because you can't get in a restaurant on Mother's Day. So take her out to eat the night before or the weekend before. And hey, you don't need a day. You don't need one day of a year to remember your mom anyway. Call her every day.
yeah, or at least send her a text or something.
Yeah, tell her you're thinking of her. So. But right now we're thinking comics and we're thinking well, we don't talk a lot about Star Wars on this Marvel podcast, even though Marvel has had the rights to Star Wars and have been publishing comics for almost 10 years now. Wow. And so we have a big release this week on Disney Plus. We have Bad Batch that came out, and we also have the Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunter, the summer crossover that's going to envelop almost all of the Star Wars titles that are coming out. And so we're going to talk about both of those. So let's get into the Bad Batch, and why don't you catch me up, Lucas? Because I never watched Clone Wars, but I watched the Bad Batch, and I never watched Clone Wars because, to tell you the truth, my son used to tell me to watch it all the time, and he was obnoxious about it. And I'm just like, I'm not watching it just because you said. And then now, after watching Mandalorian and where Clone Wars has kind of come to be required viewing to kind of get what everything's going on in Mandalorian, I've been trying to catch up, but Bad Batch came out
Yeah.
before I could catch all the way up on Clone Wars. So tell me what's going on. Who are these guys?
Well, let me ask you first, right?
Sure.
Who do you think are the bad guys in this whole Star Wars thing? Is it the Empire or was it the Jedi Rebels?
Isn't it subjective depending on your point of view? But uh, if you're, I mean, obviously the Empire is the bad guys, and the stormtroopers were thinly veiled Hitler foot soldiers. That's what they're supposed to be. That's why they're called stormtroopers. And here you have these defective stormtroopers or defective clone troopers, right?
Right. So going back to the Clone Wars, the and that's why you definitely have to freaking check out the Clone Wars because it gives more context to almost every single thing that the Empire was doing and that the Emperor was doing. Right. It tells you about the force benders, the force users, right? Not just regular Darth Vader, right? There's like these these force users. There's like these gods who are all up in and use the force for their own freaking thing. They don't really die. They just become once again part of the force, and they're replaced by other force users, right? Um, and it gives even more context because a lot of people are saying, well, when Darth Vader killed the younglings, that oh yeah, of course that's bad. Well, if you figure out what the Force really is and all that, then you're like, oh wait, that's a totally different. There's a totally different context to all that. Also, of course, in the Clone Wars, they talk about the clones and where they come from and everything. There were about these 5 or 6 clones at some point, and somebody did something to their whole manufacturing process, right? And that actually gives them this autonomous way of thinking, this way of life. They don't think the way the other clones do. So what actually happens is that when the Emperor gives the Order 66, which for those who don't know, of course, that's explained in the Clone Wars, is kill all of the Jedi. They're like, hold up, wait a minute, what?
Mm-hmm.
That must be wrong. And not only that, they don't even really know what it was because the thing that gave them their own autonomous drive erased all of those orders. They can't just follow it. They don't know what it is. They can't just follow it, and they're just like, okay, well, we'll wait to go till we get back to base to figure out what else. So that if Order 66 gets switched on, they see all the clones freaking killing all the freaking Jedi, and they're like, huh, I wonder what that's all about.
Hmm.
Crazy thing, huh? Yeah, that was like crazy. Oh, so they turn to the one Jedi they know, and he doesn't know what's going on. So they let him go. But there's this one other guy who's the evil guy. He's like, hey, soldiers follow orders, right? It's like, okay, what is the order? Kill the Jedi. Okay, what is that?
But
Why?
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
why?
why? They want to know why, right? Because once again, the clones they understand what they were built for. The clones just built to destroy these robots, right? That's who they were supposed to be fighting. They're not supposed to be killing humans, right? That was another big whole freaking part of great freaking part of it that they explained. That it's so much of a gave so much of a rich context to this freaking story. So they finally get back to the base, and um, the big general, he comes by and he wants to know what's going on with these clones. Why didn't they do that? And then he sends them on a dangerous mission to figure out if okay, we get it, they're the best at the best because they're like battalion 99 and there's like five guys. Battalion's supposed to be 300. They're like five guys. And they're like, all right, so I want to know what's going on. Like, if can I really trust these guys? So he sends them out on another mission. Turned out it was just a trap. um, but once again, they were sent to kill like red by freaking humans. They're like, wait a minute, that's not who we're supposed to kill. We're supposed to be killing robots here. So going forward, they come back. They link up with this little kid who was part of the whole laboratory that they were building. Um, and that kid is like trying to give them hints, like, "Hey, you might want to not do that. You might want to take me with you and everything." But they don't freaking listen because a lot of them are as smart as they are. They're kind of hard headed and everything. Um, but eventually, no, they all get away. They all freaking escape and everything. And then they say, "Oh well, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna try and meet up with some friends, whatever." And then that's kind of it. That's kind of the closing of the story. So overall, it's a nice little story. It's own little standalone story. There's a lot of things that people are not going to understand or care about unless you understand the whole context of who they are, where they came from, and everything. Was the story needed at all? No, no. It was just one more. Only I think the only thing I can figure is that they decided to put the story in because now May the Fourth. Hey, May the Fourth be with you. May the Fourth be with you also. Blah blah.
Well,
Uh,
I think it was a fun story because it's something that they you know just another avenue for them to explore, another area for them to explore outside of the Jedi, right? And outside of like bounty hunters, and this is this is something that I think hadn't been explored. And I like the drama that they have by they created by having one of the Bad Batch Crosshair actually be the one whose Order 66 stuck. Maybe it didn't stick, but he still thinks, well, we need to follow the orders. They gave us an order, so we're going to do it. So he becomes more of the villain of the piece, right? And now the villain who used to be a friend. And I just want to shout out D. Bradley Baker, who did the voices for all of the clones. Which basically, if you see the poster there, five main characters, he voices all of them, and they each have a distinct look and a distinct voice. How difficult is that, really, at the end of the day? When because I didn't even think, wow, this is all the same dude talking. I thought each character had the uh, individual personality. So I thought that was a great job by that guy.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, they definitely have each individually have their own personality. You can tell when this other guy was talking. Even going back to the clone, the regular freaking clones, man. Freaking just so actually, if you think about it, it's not just the five, but like the other 6 or 7, and each
Yeah,
other ones have a personality. Yeah,
all the other clones, all the other clone troopers, even yeah, he does them all. It's crazy. It is wow. It's a lot of work for that guy. So kudos. But um, but yeah, so this is going to
yeah.
be what 16 episodes. I think I saw on IMDb 16 episodes of Bad Batch, and I don't know if this is just the first season. We might get more. But Dave Filoni helms this just like he helmed Mandalorian, uh, and he's just the guy. Dave Filoni is a force, man. From Clone Wars to this to now the live action stuff. Then the reason that I think that we're getting this story is, don't you think at some point we're probably going to get the Bad Batch in Mandalorian or one of the other live action shows?
I don't know, right? Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? The only reason why I could see them still continuing along this pathway is because they would be great as toys. That's the only thing I can think of,
That's true.
right?
They don't sell enough
Nobody.
stormtroopers in the stores.
Yeah, I mean the little girl, she's cute and all, but this is not going to be a replacement for little baby Yoda.
That's
It's
true.
not, you know. So,
Oh, and the Jedi at the beginning of the episode, that was Kanan from Star Wars Rebels, right? The one that got away?
oh, it might have been. I didn't catch the name, but it might have been.
His name in the show was Caleb, so he changes his name when he gets away, and he's Kanan. But
Okay.
I actually, my son jumped on it when we were watching it together. He was like, "That's Kanan," and I was like, "Are you sure?" and then, and then when as we watched it, I was like, "You know what? It is Kanan," and because I've seen some episodes of Rebels, but I haven't seen the whole thing. So yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do as far as my Star Wars expanded universe goes. But I did like the first episode of Bad Batch. I thought it was good. But that's it. I mean, we don't have any MCU Disney Plus stuff. We have a month break before Loki starts, though we are getting
That's crazy. Because I thought it was supposed to be like maybe like a couple weeks rest and then we go into it, but nah, they decided to give it a whole month. Like, come on,
Actually,
guys.
they had announced that it was going to be debuting on June 11th, so a Friday, just like all the other Disney Plus shows. But it just came out this week that they're actually going to start releasing Loki on June 9th, which is a Wednesday. And then going forward, the new episodes were going to be coming out on Wednesdays. I don't know if it's just for Loki or if it's for Marvel going forward that they're going to be releasing on Wednesdays instead of Fridays. But that's news that just came out this week. But we're getting MODOK in a couple of weeks on Hulu, but they're dropping the whole season at once. So you're going to be able to
Oof,
binge watch MODOK, which maybe you'll have to. I don't know. It's the
that's gonna be
animated
rough.
show.
That's gonna be
Maybe
rough.
you'll want to just get it over with. But I don't know. It's Patton Oswalt, so he amuses me sometimes. So I don't know if it's going to be like a comedy, and of course it's going to be a comedy. We've seen the preview. It looks silly but funny.
Yeah,
So
they've compared it to Robot Chicken, right? And the look and the feel of
right.
it, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean the comic was okay, you know, but we'll see.
I wasn't. I didn't really like the comic. I thought they take so many liberties with the MODOK character now that when you try to read him, and when you read him in a classic story where he's just a straight up villain, it's like I can't believe how much he's changed and like how they kind of treat him like the comic relief character now. But anyhow, we were gonna segue with the Star Wars talk into
Let's go with
Star
Bounty Hunters.
Wars War of the Bounty Hunters
Okay.
that just came out this week, which is the I guess the most ambitious crossover that Marvel has done since they got the rights back to Star Wars. Um, and this issue, just look at that cover, man. What a beautiful cover. Boba Fett coming back. this is they're using him as the linchpin to this crossover. The setting, if you remember from last year when they moved the Star Wars setting from A New Hope to Empire, or post Empire, where Han Solo is trapped in carbonite. This is where the issue starts. Is Boba Fett now has Han Solo in the hold of Slave One, and he is on his way to Tatooine. But little did we know that it wasn't just a straight trip, right?
Right.
So they did so much. And they're just kicking it off. And this is going to be a huge crossover that's going to envelop Star Wars. It's going to envelop Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader, and the Bounty Hunter comic book. So this is kind of the alpha book where they just kind of set the stage. And so we have this is written by Charles Soule and illustrated by Steve McNiven. Where we haven't seen Steve McNiven in a while, right? I've loved his work. I don't know if maybe he's just slow or what, but I don't think we've seen McNiven's work in a while. I absolutely loved this book. Some of the Star Wars books have been getting a little long in the tooth for me, a little tough to read.
Mm.
This was just wall to wall action. Boba Fett should have his own book. I don't know why he doesn't. The Bounty Hunter book is not about him. It's about a bunch of other bounty hunters.
Right.
And he's only fringe in it, like they talk about him. But this is the
Right.
first time I think that we've really seen Boba Fett in a book all of his own. And this is really great. We have the moment here where the whole kicker that starts the issue is that Han Solo's carbonate is defective and he's melting into goo, and Boba Fett has to stop him from melting because he wants to get paid. So
Yeah.
he has to do a side trip to get his to get it fixed, but of course he doesn't have any credits. So now he has to take on a job for the guy that's going to fix Han Solo, and he ends up in of course, I mean, maybe it's a little tropey, but a gladiatorial arena where he has to take on different people, and of course he wins every round, and and then at the end of the day, he ends up not getting the credits, and he has to walk away from it, and so he ends up shooting the guy that fixes Han Solo, which ends up kicking off a whole thing. So now he's on the run. He's got people after him, and now he's got Han Solo in the hold, and he's got to defend himself from probably the bounties that are on him. So
Yeah.
so I thought this was a great kickoff. I can't wait to see it. It looks like it's gigantic kickoff, like running through until like September,
Yeah.
and through all the Star Wars books. So
It's
it's
look.
ambitious.
It's but it's a little too much too late though, right? You had fire coming off of the whole Mandalorian, right? That right after the
Yeah,
Mandalorian would have been the perfect time just have this out. Like 1 week after Mandalorian, it would have been like great to be able to go to the comic book store and say, "Hey, I want to know more about this." And like, "Oh, hey, there's this new series out." Bang, and you can read through and get more into what's going on. Or as you're throwing out all of those Mandalorian issues, throw out one of these a week or one or two of these a week just to get people just so they can understand what's going on and where Mandalorian and kind of where Boba Fett is going into. Now, I I keep forgetting that Mandalorian is a thing right now. I literally do, man. Like more people. I guarantee you, Disney and Star Wars are making more money off of those doggone huge ass pillows from Costco than they are from anything else. They're not making money off the comic books right now, man.
no, no, no.
Yo. But once again, this is too much too late. Now all people are focused, laser focused on waiting for the superhero movies, and the momentum that they have for Star Wars is gone. But I will tell you this, they did have some momentum on this. People were like, "Oh man, what's going on with this thing?" Because we saw the black suit that I have pictured here. It looks great, right?
Yeah,
And you know what? I'll give credit to everybody across the board. I mean, great freaking story, great like huge, great freaking illustrations by Steve McNiven. Makes me excited for the rest of the book.
Mm,
Even in coloring by Laura Martin. Oh my goodness, just great stuff. This laser pen, like you can see like the little follicles and the hairs of people and this doggone thing. The lighting, oh my goodness, just amazing, right? Um,
yeah, it's good stuff. It's a
like
beautiful book.
oh yeah, like the eight-legged creature in there, man. That is the stuff of freaking nightmares. That's the stuff that I wanted to freaking see, man.
It looked like a Star Wars monster, which was cool. You know.
Yes, exactly, man. That's what you want in your stuff. So, good on them for putting this together because it's not easy, man. Because there's been a lot of Star Wars stuff that's been okay, and it's like, oh, why do we need this? But nope, they knew that they had to get this right, especially if you're going to put Boba Fett on the cover. You had to get this right. And then I think they succeeded in this one. So let's go. Let's freaking keep.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned over how big the crossover is and how they're gonna possibly involve all the characters and give them something meaningful to do. But I think having I know that they've done a shorter crossovers before, but not with this series of books. So I think I, I have high hopes for it, and I hope that they use Dr. Aphra correctly. I don't think they've been using her correctly lately,
Mm,
um, but Darth Vader has been fire. And Star Wars, the main Star Wars book, I think suffers a little bit from the lack of Han Solo in it. Um, but I mean, that's kind of the timeline we're in right now. So you kind of have to kind of learn to live with Lando, you know. But it's good. I'm enjoying all of the books right now, and the Bounty Hunter book is sneaky good because there's not a lot of characters in there that you would know. Just the Dengar and some of the other fringe bounty hunters that you only see a little bit. They've been using Bosk quite a lot, but I mean the main character in that book was a character that they introduced in the comic, the old '70s comic. So you
yeah,
know get you get to know them, and it's a good book. The Star Wars line has been good and keeps my interest, so
right. I
looking
will
forward to it.
shake a finger at the way it was kind of distributed, right? Because there's Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, right? Prelude, right? And then there's Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, the director's cut,
Oh,
right?
what's
So
the director's cut?
it's just the same thing. It's just that there's a little story, a little kind of background notes in the back about what's going on, and we know what it is.
Does it
It's
take
just
4 hours to read it?
no, no, it doesn't, man. It's
It's not the
just
Snyder cut. Oh,
no. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take a look at it again and figure out really was it really needed, but no, we know what it is. There's been more restrictions on by Diamond on how many covers can be put out without without the book being non-returnable and all that other stuff. So this is Marvel's kind of waving up the middle finger to them. Like, okay, no more than two. Okay, watch this, and then they put out this and then the director's cut, which are technically two different books, right? While going under the two cover limit. So it's going it's going to get crazy with the war in between Marvel and Diamond and Penguin Random House for a little bit, and this book is where it freaking starts right now.
all right,
Let's see.
all right. So I don't know. Do you have anything else to talk about Star Wars? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Let's jump into that, and you could tell me why.
Big
What's
book.
up?
Big book. So this one actually came out the week prior to. This is where Darth Vader actually visits Exegol. So for those who don't remember where Exegol is, Exegol was the site that Ray and the rest of the crew they had to go to at the very last part of the last. Was it the not the Rise of Skywalker? Was it the what was the last movie? I forget what was it.
The Rise of Skywalker. That
Was it
yeah.
the Rise of Skywalker?
That was the fortress of the Emperor or the
Right.
clone Emperor. Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's where they had to do this crazy mystery freaking treasure hunt search to actually figure out where this place was, and then they find adult Darth Vader. He just kind of shows up, right? Um, he does this weird mind meld with the freaking octopus, and the octopus shows him the way, and that's the thing, he's there, right? Because Darth Vader wants to know who hid Luke Skywalker from him, what was the reason, and all that other stuff. So he thinks that the answers to that are there on Exgo. They get there, and it turned out that Exgo was actually this huge R&D lab for the Emperor, right? And that's even crazier, right? Because if you go back to the Bad Batch, and the one thing that Bad Batch was talking about was that the Emperor didn't want anybody else in that particular universe cloning anything. Well, now we know why. Is because here on Exgo, he had stolen the technology, and he was cloning people here on Exgo. That's why he could build his own army. He just needs the right type of genetics. He can build his own freaking army. So Darth Vader, there's the statues and all this of all the Force benders and the Dark Force users and everything that I was talking about earlier, right? Um, and next thing you know, there's this army that comes out and they just want to kill him. So he's fighting these drones and clones and all this other things. In the meantime, the Emperor's kind of talking in his ear, just kind of cackling at him. And then he finally gets to the main laboratory, and there's two interesting things, right? There's the cyber crystal, I think that's what it's called, which is the thing that powers the Sith's uh, big dark their sabers, right?
It'd be the Kyber
Kyber,
crystals. Yeah,
right,
Kyber.
there you go, right. So once again, here's what's crazy about it. In a lot of the other Darth Vader freaking comic books, the Emperor sent him on a crazy quest to get that Kyber crystal. Yeah, you got to go over here, and you got to kill this guy, and that's the only way you can make a Kyber crystal. Well, right over here at the R&D lab, they got a mountain of it. They're just sitting up
Yep.
there. You got five guys picking their teeth, just throwing up there, picking their teeth, freaking just sitting around on there, freaking not just chilling. In the meantime, Darth Vader had to go out and do the freak. He got parts of his hand and his body cut off in order to go get it, and the Emperor's just sitting on it. So that was pretty crazy. The second part is that, and another part of the R&D lab is the hand from Luke Skywalker, and it was explained as the Emperor was explaining to Darth Vader is that, yeah, this is where I clone people. I've been working on the whole clone experiments and everything, and that's big for two reasons. That harkens back to there's a evil twin clone out there of Luke Skywalker called Luke, not Luke, Luke.
Luke with two U's. Yeah.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker, and that's even bigger within the whole Mandalorian time set because we know that he we know that at the end of the Mandalorian, a figure that looks just like Luke shows up and takes Baby Yoda away, right? Everybody never questioned like, oh well, okay, hey, Luke Skywalker, what was going on? So that most likely is Luke Skywalker that took Baby Yoda away. The third thing that's big is that, okay, if he's able to clone somebody, where did Baby Yoda come from? Is there a possibility that they maybe clone Baby Yoda to get this new freaking creature? Because we know they were trying something at the beginning of
Yeah.
Mandalorian. We know they were trying something.
Well, throughout the first couple of seasons, they showed we actually showed the cloning facility in the second season where they were doing experiments. So yeah, I mean that's not out of the realm of possibility. I think having the clone Luke take Baby Yoda or Grogu or whatever his name is. I don't know if that's I don't know. I don't know if they want to go that deep into the expanded universe because I mean you have to do a lot of exposition. Even though clone Luke or Luke with two U's, I mean he first appeared back in the Dark Horse comics 20, 30 years ago. In the I think it was Dark Empire where the Emperor was cloning Luke from the hand. So this isn't an old concept, but bringing this back in kind of kind of sheds a light on some of the Dark Horse expanded universe stuff, which, from what I understood, most of that was kind of tossed to the wayside, and we weren't supposed to. Don't look over there, look over here, kind of now. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of going back to like old school expanded universe, which is cool with me because the Dark Empire was a good series.
Right.
So, yeah. So I mean, looking forward to this. I think it's more of an embracing of what's come before, where I think you can kind of cherry pick what's good in the expanded universe now, because there was a lot of good stuff from Dark Horse that came out, and there's a lot of good stuff from the novels that came out back in the 90s and the 2000s. There was a lot of good stuff. You can't take everything, but you can cherry pick. I mean, I think we'll see Mara Jade at some point. I think I mean, we won't see the rest of the solos because they already messed that up in episodes 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So we won't see a Jason solo or an Anakin solo, or Jaina, which I thought they were probably the strongest characters in uh, the expanded universe from 30 years ago. But I do think that I think we'll get a Mara probably sooner rather than later. But
Right.
we'll see. I like
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
I like where it's going. I think again, Dave Filoni and John Favreau can do no wrong right now, and they should be cashing in all their chips and while they
Oh yeah,
while
they
they have
are.
them before they get canceled somehow.
They definitely are. They're definitely trying to up the merchandise. And if you stop by your local comic book shop, and I'm trying to understand why my local comic book shop didn't pass this out to me. I just happen to have one of these. Is that there is going to be a new Star Wars Topps trading card set, and
Oh,
this one out here, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah,
oh yeah. That's like
yeah.
old school. That's old school stuff.
Right. So this one should be free. This one was a promotional item that was given out to your local comic book shop. So this is the first card of the set. So they should have
Really?
some of these. This is the first card of the set. So if you stop by, ask them if they got any of these, and then and just grab this and then protect it at all cost.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, go check that out. Let's
Absolutely.
take a quick break because I know we tend to run a little long on this stuff. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we need to talk about Heroes Reborn. All right, we'll be right back.
Monday.
Do you want to find out what makes the Professor do his happy dance? Check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, only on the UCPN.
I decided to self-promote right there.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show. It's an exclusive YouTube show with our old co-host Johnny the Machine Hughes and the 13th Crusader, where we talk about old comic books where the hosts aren't old, the comic books are. So that's a really kind of fun show. And I don't talk exclusively Marvel, but it's fun. I love it. But anyway, let's talk about Marvel. Heroes Reborn. 30 years later. 25 years later, right? Because 25 years ago is when we actually got the first Heroes Reborn. And just to give you a little backstory, Heroes Reborn was brought up from when sales were so dismal for Marvel for their main core books, Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, that they actually hired back Image creators Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, and gave them the biggest properties Marvel had at the time, and said, "Here, do with them what you will," in hopes of bringing back sales. Which, I mean, Yeah, it was great seeing like a Jim Lee on Fantastic Four or Rob Liefeld on Captain America, depending on who you are. He was his run is critically banned with memes on that Captain America chest to this day. But here we are, I guess, rehashing Heroes Reborn, right? Because they can't come up with a better name.
Or a better
Jason.
idea.
So the guilty parties here: Jason Aaron on writing, Ed McGuinness on penciling, Mark Morales inker. So this is your regular Avengers creative team. Matthew Wilson, colorist, VC's Corey Pettit as the letterer. Now, how else would an Avengers story start, but with people that aren't really Avengers? So the whole tagline on this is "Whatever happened to Earth's mightiest heroes?" Right? The question I've asked myself for the last 3 years in the Avengers book.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast about how what an abortion I thought the Avengers book has been, because it's not about the Avengers, it's about all the other people around the Avengers, and we never really there were some issues we didn't even see them, and there were some issues that they're just minor characters in their own book. So here, Jason Aaron just gets to do what he's been doing anyway, and focusing on everybody else. And this time, the Avengers aren't even really around. So now, it might sound like I'm panning the book already, but I'm not, because it's actually a pretty decent story. Without him having to worry about the Avengers, or he has to worry about them as a subplot, right? Because you start this book off with Blade, who is about the fakest Avenger that I can think of in the last 30 years. I think the last one I remember is Silverclaw. Do you remember Silverclaw?
Nope.
Exactly. And 10 years from now, you won't remember Blade was an Avenger. So anyway, this starts out with Blade, who is apparently the only person that remembers that the Avengers used to exist, and he's been walking around trying to put the band back together, so to speak, right? Or find out where they are. And in the very first couple of pages, he runs into Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, and you realize that he's not the Ghost Rider anymore, obviously, because he's riding a bicycle trying to get to high school. So now Blade is kind of wondering what happened. The main heroes in this, Squadron Supreme. Love the Squadron, love them. But this is really kind of the I want to say the Max universe, Squadron Supreme, if you remember them from about 20 years ago, when they had a Max title, which was an adult book. Because at that point they retconned Kyle Richmond into being a black man he had been white forever before that, and then so now this Kyle Richmond is black, and which is fine, but because he's the Batman character, and we've seen enough of him that I think everybody's all right with that now. Hyperion is still your Superman template. This is the Justice League, right? So you have Dr. Spectrum as the Green Lantern character. I keep wanting to call him Whizzer, but of course they changed his name to Blur. And he's the Flash character, and then Power Princess, which I'm sure that's not her name anymore, right? Is the Wonder Woman character. I don't think they call her Power Princess anymore, but I can't remember what they call her. Anyway, they've been having a subplot throughout the Avengers run, where they were actually being employed by the government, where Phil Coulson was kind of their handler. And here, in this plot, the Squadron Supreme are the premier super team, and Phil Coulson's the president of the United States. So now when we're talking templates, is Phil Coulson now the Lex Luthor?
Could
right?
Be.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. But this is a different Coulson than I think that we've gotten. He's kind of been this way in Jason Aaron's run, but he's always been kind of like his template in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and in the MCU, because Coulson never existed before the MCU. So he's always been kind of like that bumbling Nick Fury sidekick, and here he's more of a villain, which makes me think he's probably a Skrull or something similar.
Mm,
So
right.
maybe we find that out later. Um, so this story basically is just setting the table for the summer-long crossover, where we're going to get a ton of crossover books, like single one-shots of the different characters, and you can already tell this is the way it's going. By the end of the issue, Blade is putting the band back together. He finds Thor in a bar drinking. So this is Fat Bro Thor from the MCU, where he's just sitting in the bar, crying in his beer. He has apparently no clue that he's a god, except for the last page where he slams his flagon down on the bar, and lightning shoots down and turns the flagon into the hammer. I think it was like weird. And then at the end of the issue, Blade finds Steve Rogers still in the ice. So apparently, I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in these issues of Avengers, didn't we see Kang the Conqueror? Did we? I think he's going to end up being the big bad here.
Yeah. Well, no, it was an Avengers Mecha Strike.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I think we're going to see Kang as the big bad here, as he's probably gone back in time and manipulated it so that these Avengers never became Avengers, and somehow missed Blade, because everybody missed Blade. We don't know he's an Avenger. Even the readers think that, or me, this personal reader, Blade's probably the most out of place Avenger we've ever had, other than Moon Knight. Who never should have been an Avenger either. But anyhow, why don't you tell me what you thought of this? Because I think story-wise, it was kind of a tight story as far as setting the stage for the summer crossover. So I don't want to say it was bad because it's an Avengers book that the Avengers aren't in.
You don't want to say it's bad. It's just implicitly implied.
So okay. So I know I've been complaining for years about an Avengers book, the actual Avengers book, that they weren't in because there was so many subplots going on. This is actually a book that's about the Avengers missing. So they're not supposed to be in this book. So I can like it for what it is. There's just so much water under the bridge here that I'm having trouble getting on board with it. But the art is great. The writing is tight, and I like the Squadron. Right. So I think I might like this story if I can get out of my own head about the fact that Jason Aaron hasn't really written an Avengers story in 3 years. It's always been about everybody around the Avengers, not the Avengers. So maybe this is going to be good. I don't know. I think it's going to be good. So what did you think? Before, but no, you tell me what you think, and then I'm going to go jump. I'm going to jump.
Because I'm counting right now. So, all right. So within the last 2 years, this is the second weird type DC type Marvel crossover freaking type of book. The first one was written by Donny Cates, called Crossover, and that's being published by Image, in which DC, Marvel, and Image gave Donny Cates full blown, hey, here you go. We can go ahead, do what you want with the story. And what's striking about those two stories, in between this story and that crazy ass Image crossover story, is that it's supposed to be about Avengers and all the other stuff, and you don't see the Avengers. In his book, all the freaking DC heroes, they're in jail, so you can't freaking really see them. In this book, Blade has to go look for them. So wait, what? So I'm paying all this money at $5.99 per cover for a book about superheroes, and they're not even in this book. There are 11 covers for this book.
Ooh.
11 brutal covers for this book, right? For stuff to happen and not happen in this freaking book. Um, as far as the story, I think it would have been fine if it wasn't expensive, right? Hey, freaking, let's get the band together. Let's look out. Hey, he's doing this. That's how you discover who's paired with who. The whole Juggernaut thing, the Black Skull thing. That stuff is fine. This,
Infinity warps.
right?
Infinity warps.
In fact, I think this would have been perfect as a free comic book day book, right? That's where they should have freaking did it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They
I
should
buy
did it.
that. Sure.
Yeah, free comic book day book. Give me that like a Heroes Reborn #0. Let me decide whether I like it or not. But nope. Instead, they say, "Hey, we're gonna charge you $5.99 for this book. There's gonna be 11 freaking covers on this book, and one of those covers is going to be this cover, which is a 1 to 200. That means that the retailers they had to purchase 200 books in order to get this book. Right. This one is the Stanley Art Germ. And hey, it is a beautiful book, right? It's a beautiful cover. I like it. Here's the problem. That same cover is exactly the same cover that he used for a DC Wonder Woman book. The exact same
Oh.
cover, just switched over.
Hmm.
I should have found it to show everybody, but that is the exact same cover that he used for a Wonder Woman book. Same chin, same costume, everything, right? I just I've already talked to other speculators. They're already freaking fatigued from this. They don't see this going forward as something that's going to be a big hot book of the summer or anything. So I don't know what they're thinking. In the meantime, this is what the checklist is going to look like, ladies and gents.
Yep.
Going
We're
from
just going through.
going all the way.
Oh, that's just
to,
June. Do you have another page?
Is there? I don't know. Is there more? I hope there's not more. May going through June 23rd.
So this is only a 2-month crossover? I thought this was a whole summer thing. So this isn't even going to go into the summer. So we're going to have May and June. And it's weekly. The Heroes Reborn book is a weekly book? What's up with that? Okay. So maybe it's a quick stories. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of books just crammed into 2 months, man. For this.
Interesting. And somehow they're going to involve basically the entire Marvel universe in here, huh? So you're going to get the Imperial Guard, Peter Parker, Magneto, the mutants. Okay. Young Squadron, so champions. Okay.
But I'm a little exasperated by what they thought, why they thought that they needed to do this book, right? So basically, you've just cut Avengers short because you had an okay storyline going with the whole Phoenix Force tournament. It was like, okay, why? And they were building towards some interesting stuff because at the end of the tunnel of the whole Phoenix Force tournament, you were supposed to be the whole meeting up with the whole mess that was going on with Null, right?
Yeah.
And then they just cut both of them off and they're like, all right, get all that. Now we're gonna do Blade as the whole sheriff of the Avengers, and then we're also doing this whole Heroes Reborn thing.
So now, is Avengers getting published for the next couple of months? While this is going on? But it's because it's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever happened to Earth's Mightiest Heroes? See next issue's Avengers. I don't know.
I'm at a loss to understand where they're going with it, and why they didn't need this, and once again, this would have been fine as a free comic book day, or if you're going to do this, give me a cheap $3.99 book or a $2.99 book or whatever. Just give me one cover. Fine. Give me a weekly read. Give me one reason to just go into my local comic book shop. Don't charge me freaking $5.99 and expect me to come back looking for this every single week.
Yeah, now just from this checklist, it just looks like that this is not actually crossing over into any of the main books. It's just its own thing.
Right.
That's what I thought this was going to kind of be like. like a King in Black kind of scenario where it was crossing over into every conceivable book out there, like Secret Wars 2. But it looks to me like it's the Heroes Reborn main book and then a bunch of satellite #1 issues, and that's it. So, I mean, what's the effect on the rest of the Marvel Universe for this storyline? Probably minimal, nothing. It's just a self-contained story, which is fine. But I mean, I was kind of led to believe when it was announced a couple of months ago that this was going to be like a huge thing. It doesn't seem like it's a huge thing. It just seems like it's a self-contained story.
Right. So I'm hoping that none of the retailers go broke. We can chase after any of this, or hoping that their customers are gonna want this freaking thing. Because I've already talked to the speculators. We never asked for this. We don't care about it.
I have a question for you about the retailers, right? Because I mean, you're kind of tied into all that stuff.
Sure.
Now, with the pandemic coming to hopefully an end, I want to call it an endemic now, right? So now, are the retailers upping their orders, thinking that these fans are going to come back into the stores? What's going on there? Because I know they have to anticipate higher traffic, right? I mean, I think everybody's anticipating higher traffic now that they're letting people in restaurants, they're doing all kinds of different stuff. Do you think the retailers are upping their orders in anticipation of getting more foot traffic in their stores?
Right. So I actually visited two this past week, right? And the one that I was actually able to hear it, I was like able to hear at one particular shop. I literally heard them take 2 phone calls about 2 particular titles, right? And that was that whole Fortnite freaking Batman freaking stuff, right? And that one has been freaking hot for some reason. So that particular store told their customers, hey, if you want a particular book, order it from us 3 weeks ahead of time, right? And we'll up our orders. So the customers have not, right? So of course, for a retailer that may be struggling, they're not going to up the orders for anything, hoping that a customer is going to come by, right? If a customer says, "Hey, yeah, I want it," then they'll freaking up it. But they're not going to. So that's there's the two things. Customer needs to tell the store, "Yes, we want this freaking book," and then they'll order for them. Otherwise, the retailers, they're trying to um, bring back their expenses, right, and not order a whole bunch of stuff that's just going to sit on the shelves. They're not. Retailers are done with the whole guesswork. So that's why a lot of I have been hearing from speculators like, man, my LCS didn't have any of that stuff. Well, did you tell them? FOC is 3 weeks ahead of time. We actually get the previews book. I used to have a freaking copy around here. To get the previews book 2 months beforehand. That means you got 2 months to look through the previews book and figure out what's going on. And then 3 weeks prior to that, that's when FOC is, right? So, and then even before then, FOC hits. You got 3 weeks before it even comes out to hit up your LCS to start digging through that book, or start digging around and say, hey, or calling your LCS and say, hey, I forgot to order by FOC. Can you give me any extras? People wait until after the day it's published. That's what's crazy. You wait till after the day it's published to start looking for a book that you know is hot. That makes no sense to me. So the customers, I'm going to put this on the customers. I'm no longer putting this on the retailers to do the correct numbers. This has got to be on the customers to do their due diligence, to listen to me and in this show, and we will tell you when to order the stuff. Because we have a lot of undercover podcasts where we talk about FOCs and all the other stuff. Listen to us, and we will tell you. We will show you the way. Come on now.
Right. I mean, what the retailers aren't able to guess whether something's going to be hot unless they have to have customers coming in asking for a book, of a,
Right.
I know this book is coming out next month. I want it. Right. I mean, they're not supposed to guess whether or not Heroes Reborn is going to be the next hot book. Right. And of course, Marvel's Marvel's gambling by offering all the incentive variant covers if you order X amount of issues. So that's the way the retailers get you, right? Well, not the retailers. That's the way the publishing, Marvel
Publishers.
Publishing, is going to get you, is because they're going to offer you extra rare stuff, right? So
Yeah. I mean, it was. See, I mean, the big game that people have to understand is that the retailers, they have to front the money up front.
Yep.
Right. The money has to come from somewhere, right? And that's a lot of money to be front up front. If for the inventory to just be sitting there.
Well, that's what I think. What they're hoping for is that you're going to buy 200 copies of a book that you're going to sit on to get that one copy that could pay for all 200 of those books, right?
Right. But the problem is that once again, the customers don't understand how much that particular book costs the retailer. They're still dreaming, and I'm gonna punish these guys on online. Is that the unpressable defects? They got them. It was a podcast show. They got people used to thinking that, oh, if it's a 1-to-100 ratio, then you should only be paying $100, right? That was like 5 years ago, folks. That was 5 years ago when the books were like 150 and $2, right? Now books are costing like $3.99 and $5.99, which means even if you go at half the price, that a book like this, like that art journal that I was showing you, where is it? Which is a $200 book. I mean, this is a 1-to-200, though at half price at $5.99, that's $2.50. If I'm not mistaken. Oh, excuse me, $3. Sorry for doing math in public. That's $3. That's $3 for the retailer to get for each qualifier. At 200 books, that's a $600 book. And I yes, I know there are a bunch of people that are really bad at math and they've got their books on eBay for a lot less than that. But as a retailer that's buying these books on credit, they can't afford to do that.
Right.
And they shouldn't be doing that. So
yeah,
I don't
it's a
know.
good way to run out of money, kill your business.
Right, and that's what happened during the pandemic. A lot of them stocked up on inventory that they couldn't sell, trying to get all these crazy books that came out of nowhere with their crazy prices, and then they're stuck with the credit bill. I guarantee you, that's why a lot of retailers couldn't wait for Penguin Random House, right? Because now that okay, you owe Diamond a lot of money, but guess what? There's a new creditor in town called Penguin Random House. It's like a new slate. There you go. So,
All right. Well, I think that might do it for this episode of No Prize Podcast.
well,
Are there any books you want to honorably mention this week?
no, not this one. Well, I will. I do want to give people a heads up on this one. This book that's coming out soon, FOC, like May 17th. Keep an eye out. Once again, there's a nice one that's going out there. Once again, I'm not sure why they want this, but this is like Spider-Gwen, Night Richmond type deal. This one, speculators have already been talking about this one. This is a 1-to-1 ratio, right? But I guarantee you this is going to be a hot book. This is going to be in like the top 10 for the week it comes out.
The thing that's bugging me now, so this is the first time I'm seeing this cover. Why are they doing the villain mashups? I mean, that was the one thing that I was going to talk about Heroes Reborn. I can't stand the fact that they like mashed up Doctor Doom and Doctor Juggernaut. Come on, and then Silver Witch, and then the Black Venom or Black Skull, the Black Skull. We did this in Infinity Warps a couple of years ago, and I hated it then. I can't stand that they just mishmashed the villains this time, but the heroes last time. So unless they can explain that the Squadron Supreme, the Heroes Reborn story is happening in that same random Earth that happened, then maybe I'll buy it. But come on, this is I've had enough with combining villains, and that McGinnis, I'm gonna call you out a little bit, but that Dr. Juggernaut with the doom on the knuckles, I'm like, oh please, that's
Why forsake me?
it's so
Why hast
stupid.
thou forsaken me? Like, why? Oh my goodness.
So,
Um,
but it looks like they're gonna combine Gwen Stacy with Nighthawk.
yeah.
So are they gonna be doing that with other heroes? Uh, I mean, I certainly hope not, because that seems like it's an a it's just too not it's not original. It's not original at all.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then the America Chavez book, right?
right? Yeah, you wanted to mention America.
So they have fully changed around what is going on with America Chavez. Like, for years they were touting America Chavez as, hey, she is a Latina, and she's gay. That means that Marvel is fully representative. Well, people from the LGBT community was like, wait, but she's alien, and she's from an alien race where there are no males, so how is that really gay? Plus, the Latino community was like, wait, once again, she's alien, so how is she Latina? So they didn't really understand it. So they decided to take this particular series and square that away.
Hmm.
Turns out she has a sister, and that sister kidnaps America Chavez and says, homegirl, you're not an alien. You're from an island off the coast of Chucamongo or whatever, and your moms were just normal humans. They were just super smart. They were super scientists, um, and they were messing around with genetics. That's how they made you. That's how they made me, and that's probably how you got your powers. Whatever you got going on with the whole utopia thing, that's just in your mind. You're literally bat dookie crazy. Um, but there you go. And they were supposed to be helping us or trying to cure us of this Ends Creek's disease, but they never figured it out. Oh, and by the way, not only do you have a sister, guess what? Oh, excuse me. You have sisters. So there are what I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like at least 10 other girls that has America Chavez's genetics. So that was kind of freaking big.
Yeah. So I mean that I think Marvel's doing their best, because I did think that they got a lot of negative feedback. I mean, just talk to Al Mega about America Chavez sometime. It's a really interesting conversation. This is, by the way, this book is doing nothing to change his mind about it, but I think what Marvel is trying to do is was a quote like fix her, so that she's more in line with some of what the fans kind of want to see. So yeah, I thought this book was surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting a lot out of this book, to be honest, but yeah, it would taking it in a different direction and making it kind of believable that, hey, what we saw before, we're just going to retcon all that, and hey, here's her new origin.
Yep.
Okay, I'm fine with it.
Let's see. Okay, so all right, so Red Sonja, right? They found the star for Red Sonja. It's going to be Hannah John Kamen, my baby's mama. She's going to star in Millennium's Sword of Sorcery. Millennium has done some really good work. They're the ones that do like Expendables and Rambo and all that other stuff. Her first appearance was in the Magic Carpet magazine. It was just a regular story. Her first comic book appearance was in Marvel's comics group, Conan and Barbarian number 23. That one has picked up a lot of freaking steam on there. But I will uh, tell people to be careful, because from what I've been reading is that they actually plan on using Dynamite's version, um, which is her first appearance was on number 34, because they once they took over the license, they built up this whole story with Red Sonja, and then they killed off that Red Sonja. And then the Red Sonja that's running around now, that's a totally different Red Sonja. Um, kind of and it's a weird reincarnation story, but there's a new Red Sonja going on, and I believe that's when they're going to freaking use going for it. But once again, the one that's been hot right now is Marvel's uh, Red Sonja, Conan and Barbarian, number 23.
She looks a lot better than Bridget Nielsen, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. No, I have heard some complaints like, oh man, I don't know how she's going to look as a redhead. Yeah, it doesn't matter, man. It's Hollywood. They can do whatever they want. They can do everything in post, right?
Yeah.
And then one more thing is promotional items. So once again, if you are going to your local comic book shop, hopefully they still have some of these. There are these Heroes Reborn cards, right? Make sure you ask them for it. And I'm going to open up a pack right now to see what's actually in these.
Oh, put yourself on full screen there so that we can see you opening them. Well, they're really trying to bring back cards, huh?
Yes, sir. Let's see. So the first one, as you can see, is
We got Hyperion there.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to tell me the names of these people.
Yeah.
And then in the back they got kind of stats, I guess.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Sorry for the bleed over.
Yeah.
I got my super effects just to try and make me look pretty. And then this one is the fat Thor you were talking about.
Yep, he's upside down. There we go. Thor. Yeah.
Let's see.
Any spoilers in this story? Dr. Spectrum. Yeah.
Dr. Spectrum.
Yeah.
Blade. Mephisto.
Oh man, are they going to use Mephisto in this now? That's that's a spoiler, right?
Well, yeah, there's actually a cover. There's I think he has his own standalone cover or book out there because I've seen the cover for it already. Let's see, and this one is Power Princess.
Oh, I did get the name right. Why did I think that they changed her name? Power Princess seems much like a kind of like a not female empowerment kind of. Just saying.
This one is Night Hawk.
Yeah. I like the art. Is this all Ed McGuinness?
It doesn't say. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't say who drew it on the back. Captain America.
Nice.
Blur.
Or Wizard, if you prefer. Yeah.
And the last one is just this. I don't know what that's all about.
That's the first cover. The cover of issue 1.
And then the last thing that I wanted to share with everybody was, so if you've been tracking the whole Fantastic Four thing, right? Johnny Flame, he has this new soulmate, right? That's his new girlfriend or whatever. They went off to off-world, right? They went off to an off-world, and they met up with this alien race, and they believe in soulmates. He actually brought his soulmate back with him, and she's got the whole wings and everything. She's beautiful, gorgeous, and everything. Well, I got this little crazy ass promotional poster in here.
Ooh.
And do you notice what color her face is?
Yeah, that's actually Elijah the Skrull.
But it's not supposed to be. See the wings?
Oh. What's up with that? Is that a future cover for Fantastic Four? What's up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But they reintroduced Elijah a few months ago.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's interesting.
So that means that his soulmate right now is actually that girl.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay. Maybe there'll be a little love triangle going on there with Johnny. Interesting. But Elijah is actually Johnny's ex-wife. So.
Right.
When Elijah used to be Alicia Masters.
That's crazy. It's a crazy storyline, right?
Let's go back to the early 90s. All right, so that is really going to do it for this episode of No Prize Podcast. And until then, stay safe, get vaccinated if you haven't been vaccinated yet. We are, and it's not terrible. Our arms were sore for a couple of days. That's about it.
I won't be doing jumping jacks for a while though. And maybe cry.
All right, so be with us again in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be barreling into the summer soon, and hopefully we will be not socially distant, and we will be out there back in the convention scene. So enjoy, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Peace.
Peace out.